U.S. President Donald Trump has instructed the Department of War to start testing nuclear weapons, sparking concerns about a decades-old ban on nuclear testing. The move comes ahead of a high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. Experts warned that resuming nuclear testing could open the door for adversaries like Russia and China to test and sharpen their most powerful weapons. Andrew Cuomo, independent candidate for New York City mayor, called his opponent Zohran Mamdani very divisive during an interview with ABC News. Cuomo said Mamdani doesn't understand the New York way and has made inflammatory comments throughout the campaign. Mamdani has emphasized receiving support from a wide range of New Yorkers, but Cuomo believes he is inexperienced for the role of mayor. The two candidates are set to face off in the mayoral election on Tuesday. A new poll by ABC News Washington Post Ipsos finds that nearly half of Americans blame President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans for the ongoing federal government shutdown. The poll, conducted from October 24 to 28, 2025, among a random national sample of 2,725 U.S. adults, shows that 45% of respondents say Trump and Republicans are responsible for the shutdown, while 33% blame congressional Democrats. Concern over the shutdown has grown throughout the month, with nearly 9 in 10 Democrats, 7 in 10 independents, and 6 in 10 Republicans expressing concern. The poll also found that a growing share of Americans disapprove of how Trump is managing the federal government, with 63% disapproving and 36% approving. Buckingham Palace announced that Prince Andrew will no longer be known as a prince. He will now officially be referred to as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The change comes after the palace's decision, with no further details provided. Sean Grayson, a former Illinois deputy, has been found guilty of second-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Sonya Massey in her home on October 30, 2025. The verdict was delivered after a trial that highlighted the events leading up to the incident. Grayson's conviction marks a significant development in the case, which had garnered widespread attention due to its tragic nature and the involvement of a law enforcement officer. President Donald Trump called for Republicans to end the month-long government shutdown by going nuclear on the Senate filibuster, arguing that Democrats had sought to eliminate the procedure when they controlled both chambers of Congress and the White House. Trump suggested using the nuclear option after returning from his trip to Asia, stating that it is now time for the Republicans to play their Trump card. The move would allow the Senate to pass legislation with a simple majority, bypassing the need for 60 votes. Jennifer Welch, a podcaster and former reality TV star, has sparked controversy with her comments about Vice President JD Vance. On her podcast, she referred to him as a failed drag queen and suggested that some Republicans are secretly gay and use their conservative views as a way to compensate for their repressed desires. Welch's comments have been met with backlash from the right, with many criticizing her for her inflammatory language and accusations. The incident has raised questions about the role of personal attacks in politics and the impact of such rhetoric on public discourse. Federal investigators are searching for answers after over 300 piles of cremated human remains were discovered in the desert near Las Vegas. The remains, pulverized bone fragments known as cremains, were found spread across a desolate stretch of land on the outskirts of the city. Palm mortuaries and cemeteries removed approximately 315 piles of the cremains from the site. Authorities have not identified any suspects or confirmed whether the remains were connected to a specific mortuary business. Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, has vowed to continue fighting for his legacy after his assassination 7 weeks ago. In an interview with Fox News host Jesse Watters, on Jesse Watters' Primetime, she expressed her determination to honor her husband's memory and keep pushing forward with Turning Point USA's mission. Erika shared a personal story about how the song God Bless the USA holds special meaning for her children, and reaffirmed her commitment to carrying out Charlie's wildest dreams for the organization. She stated, All I want is to be able to make sure we honor Charlie. We keep fighting the good fight, and we do it in such a bold and powerful way. The 36-year-old was named Turning Point USA CEO just days after her husband's killing, taking over for Charlie, who founded the conservative activist company in 2012. Erika's full interview will air on Jesse Watters Primetime on November 5th. Former NFL star Steve Smith Sr. has expressed doubts about Buffalo Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman's ability to become a top option in the team's passing game. In an episode of his podcast, 89 with Steve Smith Sr., he criticized Coleman for not being able to get separation from defenders and questioned whether he has what it takes to be a true number one receiver. Despite having 267 receiving yards on 27 targets so far this season, Coleman has struggled to replicate the success he had in his rookie year, when he finished with 556 receiving yards. The Bills have a perfect 4-0 record in games where Coleman has at least 25 receiving yards, but Smith's comments have sparked debate about the young receiver's potential. Miami Dolphins rookie running back Ollie Gordon II exploded on the sideline after he was called for a penalty in a pivotal moment against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night. The penalty negated a 36-yard pass to Jalen Waddle, which would have gotten the team closer to the end zone. Gordon had a brief spat with associate head coach Eric Stuttsville before he was seen yelling and screaming on the sideline. He had to be calmed down by some of his teammates. Soap opera actress Suzanne Rogers has been diagnosed with stage 2 colorectal cancer, she revealed this week. The 82-year-old Days of Our Lives star completed radiation and chemotherapy treatments in July after her diagnosis. Rogers said she was grateful for the show's 6-week hiatus over the summer, which allowed her to keep her diagnosis private while undergoing treatment. She will return to work next week, feeling. The Senate chaplain, Barry Black, has been delivering pointed prayers during the ongoing government shutdown, urging lawmakers to work towards a resolution. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump hosted the annual White House Halloween celebration on October 30, 2025. The event took place on the South Lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C., where attendees trick-or-treated with the President and First Lady. The White House was festively decorated for the occasion, featuring a variety of costumes and decorations. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump handed out candy to children attending the event, taking photos and interacting with guests. Federal authorities said Thursday that at least 46 undocumented workers were arrested during a sweeping Department of Homeland Security (DHS) operation at a freight warehouse in Avenel, New Jersey. The raid was conducted as part of an ongoing campaign to ensure compliance with immigration regulations. Surveillance footage captured the tense moments as federal officers escorted groups of workers into waiting vans, while the warehouse was surrounded by a heavy law enforcement presence during the operation. New Orleans Saints rookie quarterback Tyler Shaw will make the first start of his career after taking over the job from Spencer Rattler earlier in the week. Shaw was asked about his wife's reaction when he was named the starter, and he revealed that she's a competitor who played collegiate soccer with the Oregon Ducks. She told him to go out there and win, but Shaw said he could have done a better job in their previous game against the Buccaneers. The Saints play the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday. Longtime CBS star Gayle King is reportedly leaving. New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli is highlighting the state's robust early voting numbers, with nearly 1 million voters already casting ballots. Ciattarelli, who has President Donald Trump's endorsement, predicts a win at the top of the ticket and down-ballot victories for the GOP in the state legislature. The Democratic nominee, Representative Mikey Sherrill, is also touting the early voting numbers, but recent polls indicate a single-digit contest between the two candidates. More than 1,000 historic artifacts, including Native American baskets, jewelry, and other priceless pieces, were stolen in a brazen overnight heist at an Oakland Museum of California storage facility. The burglary happened just before 3:30 a.m. on October 15, 2025, when thieves broke into the museum's off-site storage facility and made off with more than 1,000 objects from the collection. Among the items stolen were Native American baskets, jewelry, laptops, and other irreplaceable pieces of California's cultural history. The FBI's art crime team is assisting in the investigation. Florida Panthers star Brad Marchand stepped away from the team to serve as a guest coach for his friend's under-18 hockey team in Canada after the friend's 10-year-old daughter died of cancer. The game served as a fundraiser for the McCallum family, featuring a raffle for an autographed Marchand jersey. Miami Beach Commissioner David Suarez has pledged to donate his salary to the family of fallen police officer David Cahuso, who died in a fatal crash this week. Suarez, who makes around $70,000 annually, said he wants to support Cahuso's wife and 3 young children. The commissioner credited law enforcement with protecting the public and emphasized the importance of supporting families of officers. He plans to reach out to the family after giving them time to grieve. Rep. Ilhan Omar criticized Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on Thursday for not endorsing the Democrats' New York City mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani. Omar argued that it makes no sense for Schumer to not support the party's nominee, citing concerns about anti-Muslim attacks and the need for Democratic leaders to follow their own advice. Mamdani has been embroiled in controversy over his socialist policies and far-left views, with some critics accusing him of being anti-Semitic due to his slow response to condemning the phrase, "globalize the Intifada." Omar dismissed these accusations as overused and argued that Mamdani has broad support from various groups, including Jewish voters. Schumer's decision not to endorse Mamdani has sparked debate within the Democratic Party, with some calling for him to reconsider his stance. The Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills will face off in a highly anticipated matchup on Sunday, with the Chiefs looking to extend their winning streak. The game is one of several key matchups in Week 9 of the NFL season, which also includes the Baltimore Ravens and Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings, and the New England Patriots and Green Bay Packers. Lamar Jackson is set to return under center for the Ravens, while J.J. McCarthy will lead the Vikings against the Lions. The Chiefs-Bills game is expected to be a closely contested matchup between 2 of the top teams in the AFC. A JetBlue flight traveling from Cancun to New Jersey made an emergency diversion to Tampa Thursday after a sudden drop in altitude left several passengers injured, the air carrier told Fox News Digital. The plane landed at Tampa International Airport around 2 p.m., and medical personnel evaluated customers and crew members. Those needing additional care were transported to a local hospital. The FAA and JetBlue will conduct a full investigation to determine what caused the sudden altitude loss. The Trump administration is planning to claw back over $1 billion in federal Medicaid dollars it says are being spent by blue states on health care for illegal immigrants, including some with violent criminal records. A preliminary audit found that California, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, D.C., and other states improperly spent a combined $1.35 billion in federal Medicaid funds to help pay for health care for illegal immigrants. The Trump administration argues that Democrats are using loopholes in the federal laws to provide comprehensive health benefits to illegal immigrants. Federal agents detain a person after attending a court hearing at the Jacob K. Javits Federal Building, July 1, 2025, in New York City. Mostafa Bassam, Anadolu. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services found that California was far and away the biggest culprit, spending over $1 billion in federal Medicaid dollars on health care for illegal immigrants. Other states, including Illinois, Oregon, Washington, D.C., and Colorado, also improperly spent millions of dollars in federal Medicaid funds. The Trump administration is taking action to recover the misused funds and hold states accountable. Country star Miranda Lambert has taken up mounted shooting, a fast-paced sport that involves shooting guns on horseback. In an interview with Joe Rogan's podcast, she revealed her new hobby and joked about being addicted to it. Lambert, who is married to retired NYPD officer Brendan McLaughlin, said she was introduced to the sport by her friend Ken Shane, a 10-time world champion mounted shooter. She explained that competitors are scored based on time and accuracy, with points taken off for dropping the gun or missing balloons. The Tin Man singer also spoke about her husband's hearing loss due to his police work, and joked about how she tries to communicate with him without repeating herself. Lambert has been open about her country lifestyle and upbringing in Texas, where she grew up surrounded by law enforcement families. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is calling out California Governor Gavin Newsom over the issue of commercial truck licenses being given to illegal immigrants, warning that untrained drivers are turning 18-wheelers into weapons. The secretary pointed to a recent crash in Southern California involving an illegal immigrant truck driver who allegedly drove under the influence, resulting in 3 fatalities. Noem and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy have accused Newsom of enabling immigrants in the country illegally to obtain commercial licenses. Their renewed scrutiny comes after the October 21 crash on a Southern California freeway, where 21-year-old Indian national Jashanpreet Singh allegedly drove a semi-truck while under the influence, triggering a multi-car pileup that resulted in 3 fatalities. A Democratic state senator from Maryland is accused of orchestrating a scheme to secretly record 2 critics, including a former campaign consultant, in bed together and then using the footage to threaten and silence them. Federal prosecutors say Maryland State Senator Dahlia Attar, her brother Joseph Yossi Attar, and Baltimore police officer Kelman Finkelstein secretly filmed the pair during an intimate encounter, then used the recording to intimidate them into silence. The 20-page indictment, unsealed Thursday, charges the trio with conspiracy, extortion, illegal wiretapping, and violations of the Travel Act.